Good morning. Today is a moving day, so we just got everything into the car. Our apartment is completely empty. Goodbye, old apartment. This was our bedroom. Bathroom's totally cleaned out. Living room, vaulted ceilings. I will miss that. Kitchen, cute little patio out here. Today is the day that we leave Reno, and in this video I want to show you our car ride all the way to St. Louis, a couple things that we're doing to stay safe while we have to travel for essential purposes to move to a new state for residency during this crazy time. And also I made one of those question things on Instagram, just asking you guys to ask me whatever questions you have. So I got a bunch of good questions, and during this car ride throughout this video I'm going to answer a bunch of your questions, and also I have some exciting news that I will be announcing in this video, so make sure you stay tuned to the end to find out what's going on with my channel. Our first stop that we're staying at tonight is going to be in Salt Lake City. It has been raining most of the drive and it's kind of calmed down now, so if you're hearing that squeaking noise in the back, it's our windshield wipers going off. One question I got is, what is the best way to study during clinical years of medical school? I actually have created several videos about how to study for the shelf exams, and I will link those in the description box below. But honestly, I think the really overall best way to prepare and study during clinical years is to, number one, know everything that you possibly can about your patients, because the more you know, the deeper you'll learn about each different pathology that your patient has. And also you'll learn to have really excellent bedside manner if you're more comfortable and more used to interacting with your patients. So I think really just trying to take as much responsibility as you can for your patients that's, within reason and within your scope of practice as a medical student. And I also think that, going home and reading about the pathology that you see, so if you're on your surgery rotation and you know what the surgery schedule is, trying to read as in-depth as possible on those surgeries and on those diseases as you can. Specifically for shelf studying, I really suggest that you watch the videos that I have made, because I've talked about all of the different resources I use for those shelf exams. So it sounds like the rain is starting back up again, so I'm going to stop recording. I'll pick up again later with some more questions. Alright, it's super windy, as you can probably hear outside right now. It has stopped raining for now. It's super windy though. We've ran over a couple tumbleweeds on our way. I accidentally fell asleep and just woke up from a nice nap. Sorry, Ryan. We just got into Utah. We're a little less than 2 hours away from Salt Lake City. So now that I'm awake, I think I might try to read a little bit of this fetal heart rate monitoring book I got from my mentor. I actually don't have my first L&D rotation until January. I have like SICU, I have nights, I have ambulatory and ultrasound. I have a bunch of different things before I even get to L&D, so I'm kind of sad because I love L&D, but that's okay. I'll get there eventually. I'm still following all the questions I've been receiving in my Instagram post, and another question I got was, have I ever considered quitting or giving up on my dream of becoming a doctor, and if so, what got me through that? Absolutely, I have. I definitely experienced a really hard bout of burnout during my first year of med school. For so long on these college exams, there's always an unlimited amount of knowledge that you can have, but usually for college exams there's a limited amount of information that they test you on. So after you study enough, you can actually almost know everything that's going to be on a test. But the same really is not true for med school, and it's a totally different mindset in terms of studying because of the amounts of information that you're given. So the first few months of med school, I think it was really difficult for me to understand that it's okay to not know all the information. It's actually not even possible to do that, because we're continuing to learn. Medicine and this occupation, this calling, is all about continuing to learn and continuing to educate yourself. So I think it's unreasonable to have those expectations of yourself. Once I was able to really overcome that thought that I had to know everything, I was able to be a little bit more relaxed and accepting, and I started to really enjoy learning more, because when I first started, it was really just the stress of, I need to know everything, I need to do well in exams. And then over time I reminded myself what this was all for, that all this education I'm learning is really for the care of other people, to be the best doctor I could be, to provide the best healthcare I possibly can. And so once you get back into that mindset, it really helps you to prevent burnout and just numbers and the things that kind of objectify you through this process of being in medical school. I guess it's just taking a step back into the human side of medicine. Also, one of the things that helped me a lot was I kind of was going through the roughest time during probably Thanksgiving or Christmas in my first year of medical school, and so going back home to see my family and spending more time with them helped me to get a little bit more perspective and helped me to remember that I'm supported in this whole journey. So I think that reaching out to your social support systems, remembering that you're more than these numbers, these test scores, these board scores, and really coming back to what's truly bringing you to medicine as a passion, as a career, as a calling, all of those things are what helped me personally overcome the challenge and the struggle of burnout and wanting to quit. So we just got to our hotel room. They have this little notice here about what they're doing to keep things cleaner since there's a pandemic going on. I brought the rest of this cleaner with us so that we can clean down surfaces. We were originally planning on playing some tennis when we got here, but it's so windy and it's like super cloudy, so I wouldn't be surprised if it started raining. I'm just gonna be doing some bodyweight stuff and the resistance bands I bought, and then we'll probably pick up dinner after that. I just did 4 sets of what I showed you in this video clip. Back when I used to play tennis, we'd always go to tennis tournaments in Utah. Every time we went to Utah for tournaments, we would eat like almost every single meal, I swear every single meal at Noodles and Company. It's like really not that incredible. It's just like a chain restaurant, but we always ate there because they had like, you know, carb heavy foods you could eat before a tennis match. And our hotel is like right next to Noodles. So we just ordered, I got like my classic order that I always used to get back in the tennis tournament days. So I'm like really excited and feeling like a little bit nostalgic about it. Today we are leaving Salt Lake City and we're heading to Denver. I'm gonna spend most of my time in the car editing my next YouTube video. Our first stop in Wyoming. There's literally no one here. It's crazy. And the gas is so cheap. $2.09. Wow. I want to answer another question I got from my Instagram questions poll thing. And this question said, how can you tell if a residency program is malignant or not? And when I was going through the process and it was during normal times, it was fairly easy to see based on, usually there's a pre-interview dinner where you can see how residents interact with each other, how excited they are to see each other and spend time with each other as well. Another way that I was able to gauge was if spouses and kids were present. I guess this isn't so much like for malignant programs versus non-malignant programs, more so if they're welcoming of families. But I still think that gives you a sense of kind of what the community is like. For instance, at some interviews I went to during the dinners, all of the spouses and all of the kids were there, so you could tell that it was more family friendly. And also like all of the residents knew the spouses and kids' names, so you knew that they were a close-knit community. But the question that was sent in was specifically asking about what it's going to be like since interviews are virtual this year. And honestly, I feel so bad for you guys because I feel like it probably will be a little bit more difficult to get that sense. I'm hoping that residency programs, and I don't know anything about how these virtual interviews are going to take place. I know as much as you do based on what the AAMC has been sending out, but I'm really hoping that residency programs will still want to give insight into that. So maybe they'll be writing a letter about all the different ways that residents can connect. Maybe there'll be a video slideshow. I know during a lot of my interviews there were just like video slideshows that have like the different things that residents would do together in the hospital and outside of the hospital. So maybe they'll still be sending you those kind of things. Maybe residency programs will even be doing like a virtual meet and greet with just residents and applicants. As of right now, I don't think there have been any announcements in regards to how that's going to be done. Residency programs really want to know if their program is the right fit for you and vice versa. So I feel like they're going to still try to find ways to make it possible to sort those things out. So I really think one of the staples for this year for determining whether a program is malignant or not is really going to be to find people that you trust who've gone through this process or who are more involved in this community and get their input in terms of what that program is like. We just pulled into Rollins. It's another smaller town in Wyoming, and instead of doing like fast food or like a chain, we decided to eat at get takeout at a local restaurant. So we are waiting for our takeout right now. It's going to be like another 20 minutes. So we just found a little table and chairs outside of this restaurant that's closed right now. So we're just going to have our food outside in this beautiful weather. We are officially in Colorado. We just crossed the state line, and I thought right now would be a good time to answer another one of your questions that you asked me on my Instagram poll. So this next question is, how was I able to pick residency programs, and what was my thought process in terms of ranking the different residency programs? So I will answer this question briefly, but I also want to use this as a segue because I want to announce a really exciting new series that I'm going to be publishing on my YouTube channel. So a few months ago, around match day, like right after I had matched, I actually made a series of like 5 videos or so just about what the matching process is, how I pick different programs, how much it actually costs to apply to residency and interview and everything. I will be making those public on a weekly basis starting probably a couple months from now. But just so I can answer this question in brief, some of the major things that we were really considering when we were picking residency programs to apply to, and also that we considered when we made rank list, was number 1, location. And when I talk about location, I mean not only if you enjoy living in that city or town, whatever, but also maybe if you have connections there, friends, family that can help you feel more supported through a very arduous part of your training. Number 2 for me especially, connections for fellowship, because I'm very interested in reproductive endocrinology. I have other interests as well, but WashU has so many great fellowships that I feel like I'll be well prepared regardless of what fellowship I want to do, or if I want to stay in general OBGYN as well. Of course, how you feel about the program. So unfortunately, I know this year that all of the interviews are going to be virtual, so it might make it a little bit more difficult to try to really get that feel. But I'm really hoping, like I said before, that programs do offer something to give them a little taste of kind of the character of the program and the feel of the people there. Of course, if your couple is matching, you also want to take into consideration what your partner likes in each program. Like I mentioned before, I have an entire video about how I picked my residency programs, and hopefully that can be helpful to you, and it will be going public very shortly. So I will link it down below to this video as soon as that's public. We just got into Denver. We were getting gas tonight, so that way tomorrow morning we can go straight onto our drive. We're going to be in Kansas City tomorrow. Ryan is infuriated right now because I gave him the wrong directions like 4 times. He's so mad. But on a plus side, the gas is so cheap here. It's like $1.79 or something like that. There were literally moths flying all over our room. Like, there's some dead ones right there we just killed. And there's still more like fluttering in the windowsill. And we cannot stay in this room right now. Just like 5 minutes ago, I heard something like slide under the door. So I picked it up and literally, I just read this letter. And it says that right now is the annual Miller moth migration. that takes place during this time of year definitely explains why there were like 12 moths in our room. This is our last night staying in hotels before we get to our home that we just bought. We just checked into our hotel at Kansas City, and this is actually where my dad went to college. So we just got into the backseat of my car, which they were driving for us, and he's gonna show us all of his favorite spots from college days. Oh my gosh, today is the day we finally get to see our home. If you've been watching my other vlogs, then you know we bought our house entirely virtual. We have not gone to see it yet, which I know is insane, but we are finally gonna go and see it today. We're about 3.5 hours away from seeing our home, and I thought I would take this time to answer the last question that I got on my Instagram questions poll. And that question was about how grades work in medical school. So again, this is something that is a little bit variable. My first couple years of medical school, we did have those grades of honors, high pass, pass, and fail. But now our med school has changed to pass, fail, and I know so many other med schools have done that as well. However, I think for most medical schools, including our medical school, we still have those distinctions for those 4 different levels at the clinical level, so in 3rd and 4th years. I know that's kind of confusing because in college and high school, you know, and all of your education before medical school, you're so used to A, B, C, D, whatever. But in med school, it's different. At our school, at least, they do use your percentages to kind of convert that into a high pass honor situation. So when I was in my preclinical years, our grades were like, an honors was anything above, I think it was like a 93 and up or something like that. And then for a high pass, it was 84 to 92. So they definitely use percentage grades to separate these different classes of grades, but it's different than like the ABC scale. This whole time, I know we said we haven't seen the house, we did it all virtually, but luckily we have a bunch of family, or I have a bunch of family in St. Louis, so a lot of my family was able to help with this whole moving process. I have some really amazing uncles who were able to actually go to the house before we purchased it to make sure that it was in a safe neighborhood and that the house looked good. They also were able to receive some of our packages because we ordered some furniture early and they put it in our house for us. Like, they've been really amazing. And we just picked up the keys right now from some of our family. So now we are finally on our way to our house, and it's about 15 minutes from where we are right now, and I'm so excited. I can't believe we're finally gonna get to see it. All right, I'm gonna stop recording here, but make sure you stay tuned for the rest of this video to get the first glimpse of our new and our first home ever. City.
Who are you talking to?
I hate you.
Who you talking to?
You guys suck. Hotel in Kansas City, and oh man,